Good morning, everyone. This is Lalit Sharma, and today I'm making a presentation for my final project of Business Intelligence Tools class. For this presentation or assignment, I'm using the topic which is climate change. I could have chosen we were given choices from a lot of topics, but why did I choose climate change? It's because I actually wanted to know that, as you all know about the climate change, but I actually wanted to know that what are the real numbers are of climate change, like how badly we are changing the climate, and um, is there any way to stop it? So I just for this presentation I'm using the 4 countries, which are UK, USA, Canada, and Australia, for this final project. And the reason for me for using all these 4 countries are because these 4 countries are really important countries in the world. These are really big economies, and I wanted to know that in last couple of years, have they done anything to stop the climate change? The data that I'm using is from 2001 to 2010, which is not that recent, but it still can show us how bad the climate change is. And the data, I got it from the website called data.world. And if you just come on the website and search climate change, you will see the different countries with the title like Colombia climate change, Morocco. So I just looked up from these all countries. I just took the countries such as UK, USA, Australia, and Canada, and let me show you the data sets. Like, I will show you the data I got from that website for Canada. Look at this data. Like, this data set includes information, a lot of information. Like, it just not includes information about the population or the climate change. It includes a information about mortality rate and a lot more. So I had to filter the data for sure so that I can present the data in a better way. So what I did was, instead of filtering the data according to the countries and different fields, I filtered the data for different fields from different countries. For example, I took a specific field from each country and then filtered the data, and then I make a different Excel sheet for that data field. For example, for population, I took population from all for data sets like population for Canada, USA, Australia, and UK, and then I created a different Excel sheet and put all that information in there so that it's better for me to know which data set is that, or which information that data sets hold, and I can present that data in a better way. After that, also I filter the data so that there are no null values in the data set, because we don't want any null values in the data set. And now, after filtering the data and everything, the data set has no null values, and it looks much smaller, not like 60,000 rows. So after filtering the data, what I did was I went in Power BI, and for this presentation we could have used either Power BI or Tableau, any one of these. And the reason why I chose Power BI, because I was a little bit more comfortable with using Power BI, and I like the features of Power BI a little bit more. And so for uploading the data here, you have a couple of ways. Like, you can just select the get data, and then you can select the type of data you are using, either Excel sheet, Power BI data set, BI data flows, SQL server, and CSV file, and a lot more. So you could have chosen any one of these and just put the and just enter the data, just uploaded the data on this thing. But for me, I use entered data. I just clicked on this thing, copied the data from Excel sheet and uploaded it here, and it was easier for me. As I'm using more than one table, I have to create the relationship between different tables. And if you ask why, because in order, like, one of the requirements for this project was that the dashboard should be interactive, and for creating the dashboard interactive, we have to have a relationship between all 4, so that if I choose one field in one visualization, it will automatically go to the other field. like it will filter the data for the other visualization for the same field. And how do you create if you ask me how do we create a relation between different data sets, it's really simple actually. Just go from value to value and it will create a relationship for you, or you can I don't want that relationship, so I can delete it. Or in some ways you have to find a data field which has common values. Like for me, year is common in all 4 data sets. Like all my data set includes is the information from 2001 to 2010. That's why I'm using the year, but I could have also used the country name. Like if I go from country name, so it will ask me what kind of like it will show me that from the first data set it's going to go to the second data set, and I can choose if the relationship is going to be from many to one, one to one, one to many, or many to many. I chose many to many just for precaution, and I use a cross filter direction. So instead of creating the data relation between from one table to another, and it's creating the relation between 2 tables at the same time. So I could have done it from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 1 separately, but I chose to do it at the same time. So I don't need it. So that's how I created the relationship between all 4 of them. And now all the data, all the tables are interlinked. Now let's go in the dashboard. So here is the dashboard that I have created, and from the first look you will see that all these visualizations are different. And you're right, I have used different visualizations for separate data. And why I have done that is first of all, to make the data look a little bit more impressive, or the dashboard look a little bit more impressive, because using the same data set over and over and over again, I thought it's not gonna look that great. And secondly, it's because I can show different kind of data, like different kind of data is shown better in different kind of visualizations. That's why I'm using different kind of visualizations. And now let's talk about what kind of information is in these visualizations. So for this one is particularly for population. So as you can see, it shows me all the countries that, like Australia, America, and Canada, America, Canada, and UK. So this is the data set for the population. And now let's come to the next one. So what is this data set about? This is about, for me, this thing is about the forest area. All these fields, like this is for Australia, and this is from 2010 to 2001 to 2010. It's going in the descending way, from 2001 at the top to 2010 at the bottom. And same goes for Canada, UK, and USA. Now let's go to the next one. What is this thing representing? This field is representing all the data from like this field has all the data. Like this field includes the data about, so if you take a look at here, so this is about the CO2 emissions. So I have different fields here. Like I just filter it according to the CO2 emission alone, but if I want, I can show the CO2 emission from a gas fuels, gaseous states, or liquid products, or the solid products, or even the other gases that are emitting in the atmosphere by these countries. So it's up to me. And the next and the last visualization that I'm using, that is for the electricity production. So why I have chosen electricity production, I will tell you in a bit, but this field includes the electricity production from coal resources, and there are a lot of information in this one too. I could have used it from coal, from renewable resources, from hydroelectricity, and much more, but I chose the coal, and I will tell you why. Okay, now let's talk about what's in this data sets and how are these things affecting the climate change. Let's talk about the population. Why do I think that population plays a really big part in climate change is because climate change, for example, the land on the earth is not increasing, but the population is increasing at a really high rate. Like now we are more than 7 billion people on this earth, and that is a really big number, and the growth rate is increasing every day. So the problem with that is the resources on the earth are not increasing, but the population on the earth is increasing. And in my perspective, I can say that if there are more people on something, wherever they are, it's gonna destroy that place. For example, in a house, if there are 3 people living in a house, the house is gonna be clean, and it's gonna be a good environment and stuff like that. And for the same thing, if in the same house there are 100 people living in the house is gonna be a mess. That's the same idea that I think is applying to the earth right now. There are 7 billion people, and everyone is not thinking about the earth. Everyone wants to be either rich or they're working for someone, and all these people, like for making for a commute, like for making the place for living arrangements for all these people, we have to cut down the forest. For making the houses, we have to cut down the forest. For making the furniture to go in those houses, we have to cut down the forest. If the population is increasing, it means the number of cars are increasing. It means the pollution is increasing again. So this is I think for me, it is the main factor that is causing a lot of climate change in the world. The next thing which I think is happening is the forest area. So if you take a look at this chart, look at the forest area in square kilometer that was covering in Australia in 2001. It's 1,086,010, and in 10 years that area decreased by almost 50,000, more than 50 actually, almost 54,000 square kilometers. That is a lot of area. If you think about in 10 years, that is a lot of trees. And the same goes for not just Australia. I'm not going to say about Australia, but Canada is the same thing. Area has decreased there a lot. And then the same goes for UK and then USA too. So in every country, the area for forest is decreasing. And same goes for carbon dioxide. So take a look here. This is the carbon dioxide emission, and look here, it's increasing at such a big rate. In 2001, the carbon dioxide emission was 324844.862, and in less than 10 years, in 10 years, it's 394,792.887. If you think about it, that's a really big number. Like there is a lot of difference between that number. Like we are emitting more and more CO2 in the atmosphere, and CO2 is one of the worst things that can destroy the planet. And next thing is why I have chosen the electricity is because if you take a look here, a lot of these countries, most of their electricity is coming from coal. If you burn coal, it's going to produce harmful gases which are going to cause pollution, and which in turn is going to cause climate change. So in conclusion, what I'm saying is all these factors and many more are affecting the climate change. And for me, I would personally think that how can we solve the climate changes by, first of all, planting more trees. Trees will suck up the CO2 and give us oxygen. That will lower the CO2 in the atmosphere. Second of all, using more renewable sources or using solar power for electricity and stuff like that. I think all of us have to stand up together and do something about the climate change. Thank you and have a great weekend.